As many of you guys know, I was arrested and went to jail over tournament fraud charges this last December. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Now, the timing of this video is important. I fully wanted to wait until everything was cleared up and figured out through the court system before I made any videos about this situation. That's why I've waited so long. But as my attorney has made it clear to me, and as I've kind of come to find out, this process takes a very, very long time in the judicial system. So we are still, nothing has been planned or scheduled. We're still waiting at this point. Now, I've had a lot of people make a lot of nasty videos about me. A lot of people say a lot of terrible things, and frankly, a lot of them just aren't true at all. But this video is not for those people at all. The timing of this video is because I'm about to go on my Elite Series season to get that started, and I have so much respect for Bassmaster and all the guys I compete against. I think it is important for them to know, as they see my face and as they come back to start the season, why one of their peers was arrested on these charges and what exactly happened. And it's also important for me to tell not the people that are going to talk crap and make shitty videos or shitty comments about me, but the actual people that are my fans, my friends that haven't heard exactly what happened. It's important for me to tell you guys as well. So right now, like I said again, I haven't been to court. We haven't got this figured out yet, and anything I say in this video, as my lawyer told me, can and will be used against me in the court of law. I'm not going to run this video by my lawyer. I'm not going to do anything crazy or careful with it, because I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, and I'll just, this isn't my version of the story. This is literally what happened, and I want you guys to hear it from my mouth, not from some other YouTuber or someone in the comments section or some crazy crap that's been going around. So let's kind of go back to the beginning. As many of you guys know, Texas has a share lunker program, where if you catch a fish over 13 pounds and a bass, that is largemouth bass over 13 pounds, anytime from January 1st until I think it's May 1st each year, they will take the fish. So they have a program. They will come and have someone send a truck out with a tank on it with inland fisheries or fisheries biologists on the truck. They will come pick the fish up from you, take your pictures. They'll post where you caught it on their website and stuff, and put a social media post out saying exactly where you caught it, what lake and everything, almost immediately. And then they will take it back to their facility. They'll breed the fish, and the goal is to get better genetics from these giant fish and then restock these lakes with those genetics, with those fry and fingerlings of the giant bass. And then at that point, they may or may not, Joe's Zarg's fish, his 16-pounder, still at their facility right now, but they may or may not. Generally, they try to release all the fish back into the bodies of water where they were caught. So I have caught, I think, 5 bass or maybe 6 bass over 13 pounds during that time frame since I went to Texas, since I moved to Texas 4 years ago. And I had never submitted one to this program. And honestly, the reason that I had never submitted one was because I didn't want the lake to get just destroyed when Texas put out their, on the share lunker program, they put out their post about where you caught it. We saw what happened at OHIV when we turned in Joe's fish, his 16-pounder, which, as many of you have heard the story, maybe we'll make a video about that someday. We actually tried to release that fish without getting it verified or anything, but she wouldn't kick off strong, so we ended up calling the share lunker program. And the lake that we were the only boat at for a couple days, all of a sudden there was 1,000+ boats there, I'm gonna say, for a year or two straight every single day. Craziness. Completely changed the fishery. So, that's always in the back of my head when I catch these giant fish or I film these videos, is I gotta be very careful about what I put on film. And turning a fish in at a much, much smaller lake than OHIV could have a just detrimental, crazy impact on that fishery. That's why I've never turned a fish in. So February of 2024, last year, start of February 6th, I think it was. I've seen the date now a million times in these documents. I was fishing at a small lake, not tiny, but small, and I catch a 13+ pounder. and I made the decision I was going to turn that fish into the ShareLunker program. There's a couple reasons for this. The main reason was a week before, almost exactly a week before, as many of you guys remember, I was actually at the ShareLunker facility because I did the Bass University seminars. Awesome time. We sold out the entire place, did some great seminars, and most importantly, I was able to meet the people that ran the ShareLunker facility. Natalie over there does an awesome job. Tom Lang, they're all in inland fisheries. They all, they were talking to me while I was there and walking me through their facility. And they told me how important they felt it was that I turn in at least one, if not many, of these 13 plus pound fish that I catch in the future. They talked about, they told me straight up, it would do a ton for our program. It would do a ton for the publicity of our program if you could turn this fish in if you catch a fish over 13 pounds. And I said, I like what you guys are doing here. Seems like a great operation. You guys seem like good people. This facility's badass. I love seeing, giant 13 plus pound bass and getting bred and stuff because I have my degree in biology. But the problem is you guys post on your social media to tens of, I don't know how many people follow them, but maybe hundreds of thousands of people, exactly where the fish was caught that day. And then the lakes kind of get blown out and they get 1 million people at them here in Texas the next subsequent days. And they said, we understand that. And I said, okay, well, is there any way we can not list the name of the lake? And they said basically their hands are tied with it and they have to list it. They have to make a post about it. But she said, maybe we can work something out to where it takes like a few days at least to get a press release out or something. And I was like, okay. So I left there, good taste in my mouth, seemed like good people, seemed like they're doing a great thing. And I've always wanted to turn a fish in, but I'm just like, I don't want the lakes to get blown out. Well, flash forward a week later, I catch the fish, and in my head, I'm like, I'm leaving in a week and a half, which not going far. The Elite Series season started at Toledo Bend there in Texas, and then Lake Fork in Texas at the end of February. It's like, I'm going there. I'm going to be gone away from Texas for this season. If a lot of people hear about this fish getting caught at this lake, I'm not going to blow up my bite and what I do for a living. And at the same time, it's going to help them out. I'm going to be able to post on my page, the ShareLunker program, they're doing a great thing. Turned in this awesome fish. They're going to turn it in for genetics and breed this fish. And it's a good thing all around. So I was like, okay, I catch this 13 pounder. So I called Natalie with the ShareLunker program, Natalie Goldstrom. And I say, I got a 13 plus pounder, and she's just like, are you positive? Congratulations. It's positive it's over 13 if we send a truck out. I said, yeah. And she said, okay, well, and I was like, I'm not sure if I want to turn it in. Is there any way we could not say where the lake is? She said, no, we can't do that. She said, we can wait till the press release goes out to say where it was from. We actually had 2 other ShareLunkers come in the same day, but we cannot not say the lake. We have to say where it was caught. We're required to. It's like, damn. I was like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm turning it in. So I tell her that. She said the lake, the lake warden there that's on site, he'll come down with a scale to officially weigh it. It's an official scale right there, which he did, and then we'll send out a truck. Is just assuming it's over 13 pounds. So that's what I did. Went down, weighed the fish 13.1 or something, 13.2. And take pictures with it, and we put it in a big hoop net. You guys saw the video. Big hoop net in the lake while the ShareLunker truck, we wait for them to show up. So they show up. They, look at the fish. They take some pictures with the fish. I do like a little quick report with the local news guy. I can't remember his name. But basically, they gave me some paperwork to fill out, and I remembered back from Joe's fish. Basically, you're signing away the rights to that fish because the guys that breed fish or stock fish for a living know a fish that size actually is worth tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to people that breed fish, that stock fish, that have, that want to sell giant grade fish here in Texas. That might seem crazy, but that is fact. So basically, you're signing away the rights to say, Texas Parks and Wildlife and the ShareLunker program, which, as I didn't mention, it is owned by Texas Parks and Wildlife. It's a state-run, government-run program. You're signing away the rights to say that they own the fish at that point. I said, cool. Filled it out, signed it. So, whatever, they say congratulations, they leave. This is like at noon or early afternoon. I can't remember what time it was exactly. But I had caught a 10-pounder that morning as well, and a bunch of other big ones. So I had caught a 10, a 13. I'm a couple hours from my house, and it's noon. I'm not going to drive home. I'm like, I'm going to keep fishing. I'm going to go catch big ones because they're not out all the time, and I'm going to go freaking whack one. So I'll go back out fishing on the water, and I get some text from Natalie. She said, you know, a couple hours later, we got the fish. Thank you so much for turning it in. Could you please submit it on our app, our ShareLunker app, and we will, that way we can get it all submitted and verified and everything. And I was like, okay, I didn't know they had an app, but let me download it. I was like, I got shit reception, but I'm going to try to do this. Start downloading it, and I'm trying to fish. Like I said, not very many days that the giant ones actually show up and bite at these lakes, like the super giant ones. So trying to get it to download, won't download. Takes forever, finally downloads. Having a hard time getting anything to go through. And finally, I'm able to start getting some information put in, and I get to the bottom and it says enter your Texas Parks ID number and your fishing license number. And so I pull it up and I'm like, I can't find it. I'm like, I gotta go on their website, Texas Parks and Wildlife, to get that information. And so I'm now trying to get on another website, which is not the easiest or best put together website to navigate all the time. I'll just say that. And I can't get anything to pull up. So I'm trying to figure it out, trying to type it in, and I'm getting like the spinny thing. I'm getting, you know, not connected to the server messages on my phone. I'm like, God dang, this is crazy. I'm trying to fish. And Natalie's like, we need this by the end of the day to get this verified. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep trying. And so at that point, I'm just like, screw it, I want to fish. I am going to just see if I can put another license through to purchase because it's not pulling up my information. And a daily fishing an annual fishing license in Texas, I think it's like $30 or $27 something for a resident. And of course, in my good faith, I'm like, well, I fish here for a living. I make money here, and I appreciate the fisheries, obviously. I have no problem spending $27. I paid $6 or something to launch the boat at this lake every single day. So I'll put it through just to see if that'll help it, you know, give me a number to put into this app and make that go through. If not, I don't know what to do. And so I do that. I buy the license. It goes through finally. And I go back to the app and I punch it in. And I'm like, holy shit, it went through. It said the catch is verified. So this was a mistake on my end, big time, that I was like, awesome, I can go fish now, moving on. So that's it. That was the whole deal. I move on. They didn't, again, one important thing to think about is they didn't check my fishing license when they came to get the fish. Nothing was, you know, asked about that. So moving on, I find out there's a ShareLunker banquet coming up, and it was in October this last year. Something important to note first is that Texas is kind of funky with their fishing licenses. They don't renew it a calendar year. It's not year from the purchase. They all renew, whether you get it in August 20th or you get it, you know, January 1st. They all renew at August 31st. And so September 1st, you need a fishing license for the following year. It's kind of a funky year calendar. I don't know why they do that, but it is the way it is. And so this was in February, so my license would have been from the previous September 1st. Anyways, so it had been a while since I had, you know, needed to purchase a license. So basically, the year goes on, I go to the Elite Series. We had our tournaments in Texas, and, you know, we're required to provide photos of our fishing licenses or actual documentation of our fishing licenses before every single bass fishing tournament on the Elite Series. So obviously I had my license, purchased it a couple weeks before, you know, pulled up, whatever. They verified just like they do everybody else. Everything goes on with the Elite Series. And Natalie reaches out with an email saying, we have a Sherlunker banquet. Is there any way you're going to come in October? And I was like, I got this trip planned with Zark and Cole to go smallmouth fishing, so I'm not really sure what to tell her. And it's getting closer. And I didn't think that I was even going to end up going. And so I didn't know what I was going to do on it, but then I ended up actually planning the trip, and I wasn't going to go just because I have a crazy filming schedule, and there's not many opportunities that you're going to get to go 27 hours from home and catch a trophy smallmouth. And the clock was kind of ticking before it got too cold and nasty to go up there. So I get a call a week or so before from the game warden in the Athens area, which is where the Sherlunker facility is. Mark Anderson is his name, and not the game warden in the area where I caught the lake, where I submitted the fish at. And he calls me, says, I was going through all the Sherlunkers submitted this year just to verify information before the banquet, and I noticed that your fish was caught without you having a fishing license, and you purchased a fishing license like within minutes of the fish being submitted. And so I was like, yes, I forgot about this actually happening, but let me tell you what happened. And I told him exactly what I just told you on a recorded phone call. And he said, okay, well, then so you're admitting that you caught the fish without a license? And I said, well, I'm pretty positive that I had a fishing license, because my thought process was when I purchased that on my phone, there's been many times in the past where I have lost fishing licenses when, we used to have the paper ones, where I've gotten a paper one somewhere and then it wasn't in the system in the state or whatever, and I ended up buying 2 or plus licenses for that state for the year, whatever. And I know this might seem crazy, and this might seem, like a huge oversight on my part, and very lazy and very negligent, but when you think about what I do for a living, I had 14 fishing licenses in 2024 across the United States and in Canada. 14, including my Texas one. So these are annual licenses. This is very expensive to travel and just buy the fishing license. I think people watch my videos, and I get that a lot, like, hey, did you even buy a fishing license? How do you guys do that? We literally buy a fishing license everywhere we go for the Elite Series, for all the states I travel and fish to. I'm very strict about it. And so, I told Mark Anderson, the game warden, what happened. And I said, listen, I buy a license every year. I think I had one. I can go back and look through my records, which I did. Couldn't find anything of it. I was like, I was under the assumption that I had one. I wasn't trying to pull one over on you guys here, because, if you look back at the records, I've purchased a license every single year since I moved to Texas, and actually several years before then, when me and Zark would just come down and fish in Texas. And also, it was September. It was like the second week in September. I had already purchased my 2025 license when I had this phone call with him, because I had come back and I was going to do some fishing the next couple days. I'd come back from the Elite Series, which, I had already had it documented. I'm just telling him that I purchase licenses. I'm not someone that's trying to get away with this. And honestly, I'm paranoid about doing things on camera that would be illegal in any capacity of my unknowingness anyways. I'm very strict about when I purchase them. And so I had already purchased it for this next year when I had this conversation. But this was, of course, in regards to February, 8 months ago, before the August 31st cutoff. He said straight up, I understand this is an honest mistake. And I said, okay. He said, but we're not going to be able to submit your catch and verify the Sherlunker because you were fishing without a license at the time of the catch. And I was like, okay. Honestly, I turned the fish in because I was at the Sherlunker facility a week before then. They seemed like great people. They kind of talked me into wanting to, help them out. And I did. And I was like, did they at least get the fish, spawned? Is everything, did that all work out? And he said, oh yeah, because we released it back in the lake already, whatever. I was like, okay, well, that's why I was doing it, so that's good. And he said, also, we're going to have to give you a ticket for fishing without a license. I understand this is an honest mistake, but this is documented. We have to turn this in. And I said, okay, I get it. Kind of sucks. Do I have to drive up there to court, or how does that work? He said, oh, no, this is like our lowest misdemeanor. It's like a parking ticket type deal. You just pay it online and you move on. I was like, cool. So he sends it out to me. I pay it online immediately. Nothing. Didn't hear anything back. They had their banquet. Obviously, I didn't hear anything about that. That was in October. So I'm not going to really go into how I heard this, but in December, I heard from a friend in business, someone I do business with, basically that there's some issues going on between Texas Parks and Wildlife and me, and they were kind of curious about what was going on with that. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. So I call the ShareLunker facility to Natalie, and she tells me that she has been told not to speak with me. She can't comment on the matter. And I said, okay, well, that's odd. You've always been very friendly to me. What's going on here? This is crazy. And she said, well, the game warden would like to speak with you. So give him a call. And I was like, okay. So I call Mark Anderson, the Athens area where the ShareLunker facility is, not where I caught the fish, that county. I call him and he says, well, we're looking into it. And it turns out, since there is a prize tackle package giveaway drawing, there's a raffle for it for everyone that was at the ShareLunker banquet and for everyone that caught the ShareLunker. Since we do a drawing for that for a $500 or $5,000 tackle package, tackle shopping spree, that would mean there was a prize involved. And if there's a prize involved, then we kind of see this as fraud in a fishing tournament. I found out about these charges of fraud in a fishing tournament. I've never charged anybody with this before, but that's what we're going to move forward with. And I said, what's going on here? This wasn't a fishing tournament, and I wasn't even eligible to be at the banquet where they have this drawing. And another crazy thing is the company I'm an owner of, 6 Cents, we're a sponsor of the ShareLunker program. I actually, when I went to the ShareLunker facility to do my Bass University presentation, I took boxes upon boxes of 6 Cents fishing tackle with me to that because it saved everyone on shipping, and I wanted to help out and just take it there. All I knew was that 6 Cents sponsored the ShareLunker program, and I didn't know what happened with the tackle. I didn't know if we gave it away to all the members that submitted fish, that because you can submit one if it's over 8 pounds and you just get like a sticker and some prizes, whatever. I had no idea what that was even for. So come to find out, there's a drawing for there's actually 2 tackle packages. You can only win one, but 2 $5,000 tackle packages. 6 Cents donates $5,000 worth of tackle. That's what I find out later. Which obviously I knew we sponsored them. I literally took it there again. So I told him, I was like, when we spoke on the phone, you said this was an honest mistake. And if it was an honest mistake, why are you saying that I had intent to, win this tackle prize? Which, I don't know if you guys can see this. Here, let me show you. My boat is actually completely loaded down with tackle right now. Like, I have tackle out the ass. There's boxes of tackle that I don't even know what to do with over there. This is some of my 6 Cents stuff that's not on my boat. That's not 6 Cents stuff. Like, I have all the tackle that I could ever ask for, and I was looking back, I give away over $10,000 worth of tackle just to members of my channel. You guys have been parts of these giveaways that I do just to help get some of this awesome tackle. I can cast one of these at a time. I want you guys to have them. So anyways, I digress. So I'm like, you told me it was an honest mistake. And then you say I have intent to fraudulently, kind of game the fishing tournament, which this wasn't a fishing tournament. This is like you turn a fish in, you donate a fish to the program, which I was doing in good faith to try to help them after meeting them. And then, you think that I did this, to try to hurt this and try to like screw you guys over. And I was like, so what are you gonna do with the charges? And he said, oh, well, I already submitted them a couple weeks ago. I was just waiting to hear back from the district attorney to reach out to you. And I was like, holy shit. I don't think I said that, but that's what I was thinking. And I said, okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and I'll probably be in touch. And so immediately I hang up and I'm like, what is happening? Fishing and tournament fishing on the Elite Series is my livelihood. And fraud in a fishing tournament charges is insane. And so I get an attorney right away. I talked to 6 Cents. They're like, this is insane. We sponsored the program that last year, and you took the tackle. Like, what's happening here? So I get a lawyer, and he's a local guy there. He actually is in the city where this stuff all went down in Nacogdoches, and he says, you know, this is wild. I can't believe this is happening. There's clearly a giant misunderstanding because, one, it wasn't a fishing tournament. It was submitting a fish. There was a prize that you could have a chance to be drawn for, but it's not a fishing tournament, which this lake doesn't have any fishing tournaments at it. 0 fishing tournaments. It's too small, or I don't know if there's a slot limit. I don't really care. There's no tournaments at this lake ever. And so he's like, 1, it's not a tournament. 2, you know, you're owner of a company that sponsors this with the tackle they're talking about. 3, you weren't eligible since they, you know, wouldn't let you go to the banquet and said your fish was uneligible prior to the drawing, prior to the banquet. And 4, you already paid a ticket for fishing without a license. We don't understand why this is going to go any further, or what really the motive is here, what's going on. So I said, me either. So my lawyer said, I'm going to call I don't know if it was a county attorney or prosecutor, district attorney. Anyways, he calls over there, and they said, and he calls me back. He said, I think there's confusion over there. They thought it was an active fishing tournament, which obviously it wasn't. There's no tournaments at this lake. You know, I talked to the lake warden. I don't know exactly what his title is, but he's the lake officer there that I actually have talked to a handful of times at the lake. He said it wasn't a fishing tournament. So I think there's some confusion, but the problem is you have a warrant out for this charge for intent, and we have to come book you in the jail and take your fingerprints, your mugshot, which you guys have all seen and you know, so graciously got passed around by the experts across all of social media when this all came out. And you got to come in and we'll walk you through the jail. It's like, oh my God. So the next day I go up there and he's like, we got to book you in. So I book into a jail, first time in my life, never been in a jail before. And take my mug shot. You know, there's East Texas, you know, I'm not going to say meth heads, that would be rude, but individuals that were in there that I got to talking to that, you know, were there for doing meth and other drugs, been there for a long time, and they're asking me, like, what's going on? Why are you here? And I have to explain it, and they're just looking at me like confused as I am. And anyway, so they do the fingerprints, book me in, book me out. And yeah, so that's the end of it. So we haven't progressed anywhere since then. It's small town, East Texas stuff, small city, and apparently the college kids do a lot of their accounting work for them, and so they were on break and stuff, and now they're back, and then they got people retire, and there's there's a lot going on over there apparently, but nothing has really happened with this, and that's where we're at with it right now. Again, I wanted to come out with this video at this time before I go to the Elite Series, before I have to, you know, look at those guys in the face. And to be honest, none of those guys might watch this video because they have other things that are a lot more important to deal with and worry about. But of course, my fans and my friends, I haven't told a ton of people what happened, you know, like maybe 30 or 40. I want this to be for you so you can have some understanding about what's going on moving forward. You know, I talked about this on a couple podcasts, and I said, you know, if you looked at this at like a 5,000 level perspective and you already didn't like me or didn't want to like me because I get to fish for a living, or you think that I don't even know, negative or a crybaby like I see in comments a lot of times, if you looked at it from that level and you're like, this guy is an idiot for not having a fishing license. That's what he does for a living. You know, bring him down with the law. And yes, it was definitely, I'll be the first to admit, it was a negligent, issue on my end that I will be even more strict about as far as making sure I get my license, which again, like I said, I already had purchased this year's fishing license when this even began, 12 or 14 days or something after the license needed to be purchased. I'd already purchased it. It's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to start buying fishing licenses now. That's probably a good idea. No, like I bought so many licenses last year, in the last 2 years, especially with the tournaments on top of the ones I already buy. But it was my fault. It is my issue that I did not check. So I can understand that. But if you actually watch and pay attention to what I do and try to look at things with an open mind instead of just wanting to hate me, I think that you'll understand, like, I am not doing this because I'm trying to get rich. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to show everyone how cool I am. For 8 years I've been making videos to try to help people catch more fish. I want to get more people fishing. I'm doing it, and people might, it's the same exact thing I did before with my Launch Master online tournament series, paying out 100% plus prizes to you guys. I'm not doing it to try to run. I could easily take money out of the pot for running the organization or get some benefit from it. I have gotten none. I'm literally trying to get more people fishing out on the water, like I did 5 years ago when I ran this series, like I'm doing now, trying to get people out there. And I feel like I've inspired and taught thousands and thousands of people, and that's the thing I'm most proud of, especially my sons and eventually my daughter. I will teach her very soon. I already have. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to game a system or pull one over on anybody here. It's not the type of person I am. And I've learned over time that if people hate you or they disagree with you, very, very little at that point when they come in with that mindset you're going to be able to do to change your mind. Like 99% of the time you're not going to be able to change your mind. So I get that. I understand that. If you want to hate me, that's totally fine. I get it. But I would hope that maybe some details could be looked at here and understood that I'm not trying to, win $5,000 worth of fishing tackle. I need to get rid of about $50,000 worth of fishing tackle. It's a wild situation, and I will keep you guys posted and do what's necessary moving forward. And I'm gonna go try to catch some fish on the Elite Series now. So thanks for hanging around watching this one, and I will catch you guys very soon. Peace.